Welcome to Dear Husband, Dear Wife with Danny and Jenny Fuentes, a podcast about dating, marriage, and sex, where we break it down, keep it real, and unashamedly go there. Our goal is to foster a space that welcomes you to have conversations with us regarding these topics. And since we believe in seeking the truth about these topics, we guarantee to keep a biblical perspective in all things related. So go ahead and grab your favorite drink and or put those earbuds because it's about to get real.
Hey guys.
Hello.
What's up?
Welcome back to Dear Husband, Dear Wife.
With Danny and Jenny.
Yep. We are the Fountains.
We are the Fountains.
The Fuenteses.
The Fuentes.
Yes.
For those of you who still don't get that joke.
All right. Well, we are excited. We just recently celebrated 10 years of marriage.
Yeah, we did 10 years, guys. It's 10 years.
Yes. And in Hawaii.
Yeah.
In Maui.
In Maui.
Out of all places.
It's beautiful. It's wonderful. If any of you guys have an opportunity to ever go, do it. Okay. Choose a specific date. Make sure that it's a year out and start saving up.
Yeah.
So like that, you guys can go out there and enjoy, the tropical island and just, marvel at its beauty.
Yep. So today's episode is about how not to lose yourself when you're married.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's very important because I think, we probably talk about this a lot also in dating, like how not to lose yourself when you're dating also, so, but in marriage, it can become pretty tricky because now you're married and you're doing life together, basically.
You're doing life together, and then all of a sudden, you kind of have to start doing stuff together.
Yeah.
So weird.
You start doing
Why
stuff
would you
together.
do that? Guys, stop.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so I think one of the most important things that I want to bring us to focus is the Word of God says in Psalm 139 that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We are uniquely made. In some versions, that's what it says. And I think that uniqueness is what first and foremost attracted your spouse to you, and vice versa. You were attracted to your spouse's uniqueness. Initially when you first started dating.
Yeah.
So how do we still embrace that uniqueness, or how do we embrace that, wonderfully made of who God created us to be when we are married? In our case, 10 years later, how do we still continue to embrace that? So, yeah. So what are some points that you wanted to share about that?
I don't have points. I just have facts.
Facts, then.
No, I think, it's, it's different for everybody. Obviously, nobody grows up in the same household as the other person. So, it all comes down to your character and personality. It's interesting to see how you do have people, whether they are in relationships or, or marriages, where one person kind of not necessarily hides, but kind of embraces, for lack of a better word, the shadow of the other person. And so, all of a sudden that person starts to think like the significant other, starts to, behave like the significant other, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I have a friend that I haven't spoken to in quite some time, where I remember there was a specific young lady that he was dating that he was really interested in, even to the point of marrying her. But towards that, as the relationship was leading toward that, he came to the realization that he actually was not satisfied. And so I remember I had asked him why, and he was just honest and upfront, and he shared that he felt like the young lady was just like she was a yes girl, where she just said yes to everything. everything he wanted, she said yes. Everything he wanted to do, she said yes. Whatever he said, that's how it went. And that necessarily was not his heart. Like he's not that type of guy. And he was really, he was a little disappointed because he thought that she was going to have, she was going to be the kind of person to just share with him what she wanted to do. And obviously, it's not a one-way street. It's a two-way street in any relationship. And so, that tends to happen. That kind of falls in some marriages and or relationships. And so how do you keep that from taking place? How do you prevent that from happening whether it be the spouse, where it's either spouse, where both spouses are equally weighed in and both voices are equal and both opinions are equal and no one is greater than the other? Like, how do you make that happen?
Yeah. No, I think it's very important to understand that we, as women, we have a voice, especially in the Latino culture, I would say. Women are matriarchs, like moms, we respect them, we honor them. But I think sometimes we can also get lost, and there's the machismo culture in there too, that sometimes can come and hinder us from being able to be ourselves. But all in all, I think the most important thing is knowing that your uniqueness, who God created you to be, your voice, your personality really matters. I won't say attitude, because if it's negative attitude, y'all got to change it, right? But if it's a good, positive attitude, that really is important to bring into your marriage. If you're going to, be negative all the time, then you do want to change that, obviously. But there is so much uniqueness and so much power in being who you are and who God created you to be, without you having to feel like, you're losing yourself in your marriage. Those are really big, important things to understand when you're starting your marriage.
Yeah.
Being yourself, being comfortable within your own skin, and I'm not talking just sexually, but also being comfortable within your own skin by who God created you to be, some of your quirkiness, your personality, and your habits. Like, how do you bring that, and how do you mesh those with the person that you've married? I think one of the biggest things that we've learned, or at least that I've learned in my marriage, has been, I'm going to speak to the men right now. So I think one of the most important things is, if you want your wife to be herself, you have to create an environment that allows her to be herself. Vice versa to the women. Women, if you want your man to be himself, you have to create a space for him to be himself. And so what I mean by this is, let me share my personal example, is my husband has created a very safe space to be myself. And I think that comes with emotional, spiritual, mental health, right? Like, being emotionally and spiritually and mentally healthy is going to make your marriage a lot much more simpler for your wife or your husband, who may feel a little bit intimidated, who probably comes from very traumatic home experiences, et cetera, et cetera. So Danny and I have worked really hard to become emotionally healthy individuals. And what I mean by really hard is, we've put in the work financially, we've put in the work mentally, we've put in the work spiritually, and we've put in the work emotionally to be able to become healthy individuals. You know, and we don't have it all put together. We're not perfect. Mm-hmm. But I mean, financially, we've invested in making sure that we are in therapy. Emotionally, we have invested by actually doing some of these emotional, healthy, groups that our church has offered to us before, and we've invested the time, we've invested being a part of those discussions, as uncomfortable as it may be. Danny has been part of a men's group that has walked him through his journey with addiction to pornography. There's been an investment. And so we have created a safe space where we can be ourselves. Danny can be himself, I can be myself. And so I just want to say that's the most important thing. Like, in order for us to not lose ourselves in our marriages, we have to first look at our environment of our marriage and how our marriage makes us feel. So addressing that uncomfortableness, or addressing that I'm not feeling safe, or my husband doesn't make me feel safe, or my wife doesn't make me feel safe, that's the most important step number one that you got to do, so that you can continue not to lose yourself in your marriage. Like, I think about how Danny has allowed me to just be myself, to speak up, to share my emotions, and to tell my husband, yo, I'm going to go out with my girlfriends, and vice versa. Like, he'll be like, oh, I'm just going to go play the drums, or I'm going to go do this. Or previously, before COVID, he had this like men's group that he was doing early in the morning on Saturdays with the guys. And, it's just these things, like we've given ourselves permissions to just be.
Yeah, it's very important to have that, again, in any relationship and in any marriage, just because there's a balance that carries through the relationship, where you're not overly exasperating your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever. And again, at the same time, it allows opportunity for the relationship to grow the way it should. Another example is that for me personally, I love to play the drums, and so I have a drum set where I just go into the garage and I lock myself. And Jenny's the type of girl where she, when we come home from work, she wants to eat together, and that's great. But by the time we finish eating, and, for those of you, if you know where I live, this is Santa Barbara. So technically by 7 p.m., people are like ready to rip your head off if you make any kind of noise. So I understand that technically 7 o'clock, that's it. That's my cutoff. Otherwise, I'm going to start to have a bunch of people show up at my house complaining because of noise. So I remember I just kind of did this thing, and I was like, hey, you know what, Jenny? Like, I'm going to, if I want to play my drums, I'm just going to come home and do that. I know you want to eat, and that's fine. But if you don't want to wait, then feel free to eat. And if you want to wait, then it'll have to be after I play my drums. And I don't want to be rushed. And so, again, it's not to say that it's not me trying to be mean or anything, but it's one of those moments where, that's my time. Like, that's my thing. I want to just go and do my thing by myself without feeling rushed, without feeling like, oh, we gotta, we have to do this because I want to do this too. Like, again, it's a give and take. That's every relationship. It's a give and take. And then there's also days where, where I don't have the opportunity to go and, play my drum set because I know my wife wants to do certain things and I want to do that with her too. So again, it's a give and take relationship type of thing where we both have the opportunities to do what we enjoy doing. And again, it doesn't mean that I don't want to be with Jenny or that Jenny doesn't want to join me, but it's just one of those things where it's like, you know what, this is what I love to do and I enjoy doing it myself because I've kind of done it this way before we met. Mm-hmm. So, and there are other things that we definitely do together because we really enjoy doing it together.
Yeah. Like
when Jenny gets groceries, she loves for me to go with her and I go with her.
Yeah.
Or when I go get food when she doesn't feel like, cooking a meal, then, I'll go get food and I'll ask her to come with me because I like it when she comes with me.
Yeah.
So that's just little things like that.
That's wonderful, actually. That's really good. Yeah. I think if I was just thinking as you were saying that, I think one of the most countercultural things, and what I mean by countercultural, it's countercultural to our Latino culture. It's probably even countercultural to some Christian philosophies about marriage, and I make it like what? Like, wow, how could you? But I believe that space in a marriage is good. It's healthy,
it's needed. It's needed. It's required, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, some people will say no.
Yes. Well, again, yeah. Some people are gonna have their their own thoughts and
Yeah.
opinions about it.
And I'm not talking about leaving my husband for months or for weeks,
Yeah.
you know, like at a time, but I'm talking about like having that healthy space. Like every year, almost every summer, I would say, except for the COVID year, we've done this traditional thing with my best friends where we go on a ladies trip. Lately, it's been going to visit our friend up north, since she had a kid and everything. But you know, I go away for a week, and that week gives us space, but it also makes us fall in love more. At least for me, I don't know if you can say this, babe, but it makes me miss you more, and it makes me want to be with you more and appreciate you more.
Yeah, it makes sense. We have to be farther apart from each other to feel loved, to be loved. I get it, babe. I totally get it.
No, but
Every time I don't want to be with you, I want to be with you. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, like
I'm just kidding.
I think like one of the most important things is it makes me realize how much I really do love my husband and how much I appreciate those moments that I'm with him. You know, because you can grow accustomed to someone's presence, and I don't ever want to grow accustomed to Danny's presence. I want to grow deeper and more in love. Grow deeper and more in love with my husband and who he is and his presence around me. So that space sometimes makes me realize, like, I find myself leaving and I'm like texting my husband already. And I'm like, I miss you, you know, or vice versa. Like all of a sudden I won't text him and I'm having fun.
I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah. And he's like, are you okay?
Where
I
have you
miss
been?
you. Yeah. So
Suddenly I don't exist anymore?
yeah. And so I think that's really good because then when we see each other, like we just go at it with each other, you know, and in a good way, in a sexual, loving way.
And by
you
going
know?
at it, I mean like we just rub our hands on each other's faces until we're satisfied.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I mean, like I think, you know, it really does make those intimate moments very meaningful and very intimate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it makes it really nice.
And it definitely changes. I mean, it's, you know, I've had days where Jenny leaves on a work trip and, you know, she's been gone. She'll leave like a week sometimes. Other times it's been 2 weeks. And other times it's been just a weekend. But on the moments that she's been out for a week or longer, it's funny, like I kind of get a little excited, not that she's leaving, but excited in the sense of like, oh, you know, she's going to go, you know, she's going to be doing her thing and then I'm going to be home and then I got the 2 dogs and it's much more simpler and I don't have to worry about
complicate your life a lot. More than the dogs, apparently.
Well, you know, again, you know, women are very like intuitive.
Whoa.
Women are intuitive about things. Don't, you know, I mean, I wasn't even done with my sentence and you thought I was going to give an insult. But women are very, you know, very complex creatures and guys are just a little more simpler.
Yeah.
But I've had those moments where I thought to myself, oh, it's going to be like this. And then, yeah, like 2 days in, I'm like, crap, this sucks. You know?
Yeah.
Who is going to make me a sandwich now? I have to do it.
Because that's my sole existence.
That's why we got married.
Wow.
Just kidding. No, but it just, at the same time, it also like shows, it reminds me that I still care enough about my wife that I want her to be close to me. You know, and at least for me, I don't know about anybody and I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone else, but for me, the longer she's away, the more alone I feel. And so it just feels really nice when she does come back and, you know, she tells me everything about what she, you know, what her experience was. And and then we just, life goes on. But again, I think it's a balance. I think it's just, having a balance in our relationship, in our marriage, where, yeah, we have our own thing. Jenny loves to do her thing with her girls, and I'm all for it, and I want her to. And I delight when she gets to do that because she has a ton of fun. And then at the same time, I do my own thing. I go lock myself in the garage and play my drums until 7 p.m. And if not that, then I'll do something else that I like to do on my own. But either way, regardless, we always come back and we are reminded of how much we miss each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I think reminding yourself of who you are and what you enjoy to do, and giving yourself that space and creating that space for your significant other to be able to enjoy him or herself, to do the things that they love is very important. It's very healthy. It's really healthy. Like, we don't do everything together, and I thank God we don't. Like I mean, there's days where Daddy's watching his dumb shows, and I'm just like, I don't want to watch that.
They're not dumb. They're
granted, you're right. You're right.
Educational and beneficial to my health.
Whatever. But like Danny will watch his shows, and I'll watch my own show. Like sometimes he's in the living room, and I'll be in the bed, or we'll both be in the bed, and in our own little devices, and watching whatever it is that we want to watch. And sometimes we watch things together, and we love watching shows together too, but I'm the girl who loves the British shows, and he's the guy who loves the comedy. So it's like, great, but I can only take so much comedy at a day, and I would rather go and binge watch like some British shows, like Downton Abbey is my thing, it's my jam. And I think of like, or sometimes I would rather read, and he would play his drums, and or
I play video games.
Or he'll play video games.
And I'm playing
and
online
I'm reading,
against, a bunch of 10, 11, 12-year-olds who are better than me.
So I think, those are things that are very important for you to find the things that you really enjoy doing by yourself too.
Yeah.
And if you've lost that, I would say go back and think of like, what are some of the things that bring you joy? What are some things that recharge you and bring you energy? For my moms and my wives out there, what are some things that bring you energy that you can do late at night or early in the morning? Find something that you really, really love to do, and that you love to do on your own, or that you love to do with others that are others aside from your husband, right? So that you can create that and cultivate that safe space, or that, so that you don't lose yourself. I guess it's a simple word. I'm just going to say it's a simple term. Like, don't lose yourself. Don't lose yourself and who you are and who God created you to be.
Yeah.
Because that's what attracted your husband or your wife in the first place at the beginning, Mm-hmm. So, I think making sure that there's that balance in your marriage is going to be very important.
Yeah, I think, the best way to describe all of this is to say, go back to how it was when you guys were dating.
Yeah.
What was that like?
No, if you had a toxic,
obviously, if it was a bad relationship, if it was really
no. Like what I mean is like that toxic, like, I don't want anyone else but to just be with you. I'm gonna say, don't go back to that.
Toxic is toxic, babe. I don't think there's different levels of toxicity.
Well, no. Like what I meant by like, some people are like, I don't mean by like verbal abuse, but I'm talking about like, it's so toxic too. By the way, so if you're dating and you're just spending the entire time with your boyfriend or girlfriend, y'all got some issues. Y'all got to figure some crap out. Like, y'all got to be in community. Y'all got to...
Who's y'all?
Y'all, them couples out there who are dating right now. Find community. Do things with other people, not just the two of you together. That's what I'm trying to say. But anyways, you were saying, sorry.
I lost my point, so...
I do that a lot to you. I apologize.
Let's see what's going on in the world right now, guys.
Anyway, but I was.
COVID is slowly
You were
dying.
saying, this is what you were saying. You were saying go back to the way that before.
Going back to how it was like when you first were dating. When people first date, it's lovely. You do fun stuff, and you get to know each other, your likes and your dislikes, and and I think that's like the important thing is, to implement that in your marriage if you feel like you don't have that, or if you feel like you lost that. And it's not a bad feeling at all. You're never, again, I think relationship and the specific lifestyle of the relationship will always depend on both spouses. Whatever you and your spouse agree to allow, that's what it'll be. And whatever you do not allow, that's what it'll be.
Yeah.
And so for Jenny and I, we like to have fun. We enjoy just going out and enjoy each other's company, and we have fun, and we do things that I know for sure a lot of people would look at us and say, okay, you guys need to stop. That's not normal. But for us, we just love to do it. We like to have fun. We like to get up at, late at night and go get a burger if it's available because we're hungry.
Yep.
Or, it could be a thing where we just had dinner and then all of a sudden Jenny's craving sushi because she saw a sushi commercial. So, we'll just go get sushi. Okay, let's go do it. I'm about to throw up, but let's go get it. It's just one of those things where we just, we have the freedom to be ourselves with each other, and we love each other for that. And we only want to continue to allow that in our marriage so that we are not finding ourselves in positions where it's like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I remember when we used to do this, or I remember when we used to do that, but we don't do that anymore. So...
yeah, I think if anything, find, like my husband says, find things that you love and enjoy doing together, and also find things that you love and enjoy doing on your own.
Yeah.
And what are those things? It's really, you're the only one who can say what those things are. So, but don't lose yourself in your marriage. And if you feel like you're losing yourself, talk to your husband, talk to your wife, and be honest about it. Because that's where depression, resentment, anger starts to build up, and that puts the tension on your marriage. So we want to make sure that you don't put that on and carry that on your own. But in fact, we want to encourage you to talk to your significant other so that you can communicate effectively and say, hey, like, I miss this about myself, or I feel like I've lost this part about myself, and I want to bring it back. And what does that look like? And what does it look like to create that space and that time to bring that back? So healthy marriages are not just individuals who spend every waking moment together, but healthy marriages are individuals who also know how to be themselves in the midst of their marriage. Because you're not just a wife or a husband. I'm not just a wife or a husband.
Or mom or dad.
Or a mom or a dad. In my case, I am a wife on top of a daughter, on top of a friend, on top of, a mentor, on top of, an educator, and on top of, who God created me to be. I'm Jenny, and I should not be losing myself in my marriage, but continue to thrive and look for ways that I can continue to grow in my marriage and still becoming who I am and who God created me to be. So I hope that you understand that. And we don't mean any offense, but honestly, like, if you've lost yourself, it's time to start looking for that self that you lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's it for me.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for listening.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us on your evening or daytime or lunchtime or whatever.
Yeah. And we will catch you on the flip side on the next episode.
Yeah. Take it easy, guys. Until next time.
Adios.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in. We really enjoyed hanging out with you. If you really enjoyed hanging out with us too, then we ask you for one simple favor. Go ahead and leave us a review and let us know how we did. We thank you so much, and we really appreciate your time. We look forward to seeing you next week. Adios.